Welcome to another episode of What Do You Need to Know to Live in Costa Rica? Today, we're exploring Alajuela. That's right. Today, we're looking at Alajuela, one of the Central Valley's most accessible relocation options, but also really complex in many ways to understand. I'm Aaron Bailey, joined as always by my good friend, business partner, and resident of the province of Alajuela, Patrick Jager. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, sir. Greetings from Atenas.
Atenas Alajuela.
Alajuela. Atenas Alajuela.
Before we get into this, let's remind everyone that we would really love you to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment. We love hearing from our viewers, and this is the way we grow our community organically. So, Patrick, what do we mean when we say Alajuela?
So Alajuela is both a province. Think of a province as a state, right? The state of Alajuela, and then within Alajuela there are cantons, which you consider as counties. So Alajuela is a state, it is a county, and it is a city. When we think of Alajuela proper, people are probably thinking the airport and then City Mall and that area around there. But Alajuela actually is the largest city in Costa Rica by population. And then the province of Alajuela goes as far west as Atenas, up through San Ramon, obviously Grecia, La Garita, Tambor, Turucares, Poas is in Alajuela. So it's a very large province. Today, though, we're really talking about the city.
The city of Alajuela, El Centro, and the surrounding areas. So, Patrick, let's talk about why people might want to consider living in Alajuela.
Yeah.
I think first of all, it's accessible, right? It is the city closest to the major international airport in Costa Rica, maybe a 5 to 10 minute drive. You've got access to both 27 and to Route 1. So lots of different crossroads come through Alajuela. So if you need to get around Costa Rica or to and from the airport, really, Alajuela might be a really good option for you and your family.
Yeah, I mean, it is very accessible. It's also very dense. So while it's very accessible and there are a lot of roads, all roads lead through, strangely, like the airport area. And there are free trade zones, both the north and the south of the airport, and congestion in those areas because of the sheer number of trucks shipping that are coming and going through that area. It can be very, very dense traffic in that area. Also, in the main thoroughfares, if you're going through town, if anyone has tried to, at rush hour, get, north past Walmart trying to go up into the city, that can just get so congested. So accessibility is good, but like a lot of Costa Rica, accessibility has not kept up with the demand of the traffic that has been created. So for those that want to live in Alajuela, they typically are not going to live in that area. They're going to live up on the hills. They're going to live further away from that really congested part of the town. So second on that, Aaron, I'm going to throw over to you, cost of living in Alajuela.
Yeah, I mean, so often people think I'm moving to Costa Rica, moving to the Central Valley, I'm going to live in Escazú, Santana, Atenas, and they overlook Alajuela. But if they're looking for a more affordable place in the Central Valley, Alajuela might be a really good option for you to check out. Generally, it's going to be more affordable in Alajuela than those other places I mentioned. Not only in rent, in housing, but also in supermarkets and in restaurants. It's a little more of a local feel, and so therefore you're going to get a lower cost of living. And tied to that, as I said, a more local feel. It's got a very strong identity as Alajuela. Lots of really traditional festivals. The people are really friendly. And so you're going to get less of an international experience in Alajuela. You're going to get much more of a Costa Rican experience, which I think would be amazing.
I think though the one thing I would add to that though is again thinking about density. You're getting a very Costa Rican experience with a lot of density. So, there's a big difference between living in Pawas and looking down at Alajuela, where there it's very local, but it's also not dense. When you're in Alajuela proper, going to the feria, you're going to know you're in a high population area. Again, that's why a lot of people end up living in the hills above Alajuela or one of the outskirt towns. But you're right. Being there, you're going to get a sense that you are local. You get a lot of access. City Mall has a lot of international stores, obviously, as do the other malls in town. But you have to be willing to compromise from a cost of living perspective. Yes, it's cheaper. No, you're not going to have monkeys in your backyard and you might not have a beautiful vista and you're definitely not going to see the beach.
Correct. That is true. And speaking of the malls and accessibility to shopping, Alajuela has great malls, supermarkets, Patrick's favorite hardware stores. Yeah, I know he loves his hardware stores, people. And I hate going to them. And good healthcare. Like you have a lot of accessible options for healthcare in the area. So I think, you're not going to miss anything, moving to Alajuela, and you might not even need to go to Escazú or Santana often because you've got everything right in your own neighborhood.
Yeah. Again, if what you're looking for is an urban experience, we always ask our clients when they're, even before they're clients on our first consulting, what is your dream? When you think of Costa Rica, what is your dream? And we break it down into one of four. Is it hot and humid beach? Is it cooler, crisp mountain air? Is it urban or is it suburban? Interestingly, Alajuela province has three of those four. Cool mountains, go up to Puas, or up by San Ramon, and you're going to get just amazing cloud forest. Urban, Alajuela City, or suburban. And that, the suburbs, including La Garita, will really give you a sense of that local hometown feel. The other big thing we always talk about is climate. Downtown Alajuela is hotter and drier. The hills obviously are a lot cooler. Dry season, like everywhere else, is December through April. Green season is May to November. It is very comparable to the rest of the valley, but it will feel cooler than it will, especially if you're to the west. Alajuela, the hills of Alajuela versus Atenas, which is to the west, are going to feel a little cooler. Being on the eastern side of the valley, that side of Alajuela will definitely feel cooler. It is a great town once you figure out how to navigate it and where your pocket of town can be.
Absolutely. So let's talk about cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, like we said earlier, Alajuela is going to be a little more affordable than a lot of other places. In the city, in El Centro, $500 to $900 for an apartment or a modest home. You can obviously spend more than that, but that's probably where the average is. If you're looking at the hills above Alajuela, or the surrounding neighborhoods, you're going to spend a little bit more, $800 maybe to $1,500 for larger homes with some land, a yard, etc. That's going to be generally cheaper than Escazú, Santana, or other suburbs of the region. And like we said earlier, there are great dining options. Local sodas and bakeries are everywhere and inexpensive. You're gonna get fewer international options for food and dining than you would in other places in the Central Valley. But there's gonna be some scattered throughout. I forget the name of our favorite seafood restaurant in Alajuela. Patrick.
La Monta,
Um, uh,
Pescaria de la Monta.
yes,
It's so good. So, so good.
we love it there, and we need to go back. It's been a while.
I know. Yeah, it's such a big city that there's a little of everything, right? You're going to find something that fits your, right? But you might have to travel quite a ways to get to it, depending on what you really, really like. But the thing that's so cool about Alajuela is it's nearby so much, right? You can easily get to Atenas. You can easily get to San Ramon. You can easily get to Grecia. And I say easily, taking away what the traffic might be at that given point. You can easily get downtown. You are local. You're close to Poas, La Paz Waterfall Gardens, Hacienda Alsacia, the Starbucks plantation is right there. You really do have a lot of options. For where you can travel. So as a destinational hub, being able to get to other places, especially if what you want is urban, Arguela might be really good for you. Hey, Aaron, let's talk a little bit, if you would, about crime and safety, because that's obviously, especially when we're talking about urban areas, that's one of those things that people really question.
I think whenever you have urban density, there's going to be more generally more crime, petty crime. In El Centro in downtown Alajuela, you're gonna have some pickpockets or bag thefts, and these things happen, like in any city in the world, really. In terms of violent crime, it's still a very safe place, generally. And then if you're looking outside of El Centro, then I would, you're going to be in gated communities, or you're going to have lots of neighbors, and I think it's going to feel a little safer for petty crime. Some communities on the outskirts of Alajuela, the city, are there can be some more crimes. So you're going to have to really think through, if you want to live outside of Alajuela. Um, you're going to have to do proper scouting to make sure that you're in a safe place. But generally, I think overall the region is really safe.
I think the thing I would add about that outside, I think by what you mean by that is there's a lot of places outside Abuela that are very industrial. Like I said, there are free trade zones on both sides. And places like El Coyal, there is housing there that's probably not housing that internationals are going to want to gravitate to, because it is considered a little more dangerous, a little more sketchy, maybe is the right word. And especially if you don't speak Spanish, if you don't feel comfortable living in a lower income neighborhood, you're going to want to gravitate to areas where you feel comfortable. And as Aaron said, that's what the Scout is really about. Which leads us to the end of this, is the conclusion on who is Alajuela good for. Aaron, let's just really quickly go through this. First and foremost, people that want an authentic Costa Rican experience, but also want city access. People that want to live urban. What else would you consider Alajuela to be good for?
I think those retirees or families who are wanting proximity to hospitals and services and amenities, and especially the airport. If you, like, for example, we have a family that, the wife and kids are living in Costa Rica full time, and the husband is an airline pilot, and he's commuting back to work in the US. And so there are communities around LOA that might be really appropriate for them, because he's going to have really easy access to the airport. Those who want to own land and get a little bit more value for their money than other communities in Costa Rica, I think that's there are some great options. And then gardeners and homesteaders and people who want some land and want to grow their own fruits and vegetables and have some property. I think there are places in Alajuela that I think would be perfect for that.
Yeah, especially to the east side. Like I said, like if you're going from Abuela up towards Poas and you just see the abundance of agriculture varieties as you go up the sides of the mountains and the volcano. That's where you see a lot of tomato, a lot of strawberry, but then you could be anything that can deal with a little more moisture and a little more cool and a little more cloud. You're gold there. We actually have another couple that specifically is looking, they really just want to be in the foothills above Alajuela. They would love to have a view, as we all would, but it is about having the ability to have that more verdant area. Let's then switch gears, though, and talk a little bit about who might not like living in Alajuela. Those seeking high walkability, we talk about walkability a lot. It is very hillside. So for a lot of areas, a car is required. You're going to, especially if you're going up some of these areas just on the outskirts of town, you're not going to find sidewalks. So walkability becomes very iffy and somewhat dangerous. Those uncomfortable with traffic and noise and chaotic street life, I'm not trying to overplay the freneticism, but it is a very densely populated area. So if that stresses you out and your idea of Pura Vida is calm, it's not going to be right for you.
Yeah, and I think the other group would be, those people looking for that bubble where they can interact with lots of internationals, or put their kids into bilingual school, for example, private schools. You're going to find more of that in Escazú and Santana and less of that in Alajuela. And so Alajuela might not be the right place for you and your family.
That said, you won't know until you come and you scout. And if Alajuela is somewhere where you want to scout because you think, you know what, it does have some appeal, let's add that to your scouting itinerary. We develop very customized scouting itineraries for everyone that comes to our platform, because it's not a one-size-fits-all country. You cannot go in a bus and hope you find the perfect place for most people, especially if what you want is a more urban experience. This is something that needs to be customized and tailored around to exactly what your threshold is with each of these things. So if that is something that is of interest to you, we would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at hola@yourpuravida.com, or on yourpuravida.com/links. You can get access to everything we have, including how to schedule a free consultation with us on our website. We love hearing from you. We'd love to get feedback or questions that you have from this video that we can answer later in a Q&A. Engage with us. Let us know topics you want for other videos. It is great to hear from you. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Until next time, Mr. Bailey. Pura Vida.